Hello everybody, my name is Aceyfacey. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about two ships which I think are pretty good at doing solo T2 frigate Abyss. If you guys have got any other suggestions apart from these, let me know in the comments down below. But there's two ships that I've tried a lot doing the T2 solo and it works out pretty well. Here we've got a Retribution, and the Retribution I think is a really good ship for doing the T2 electric solo. The reason is because the Retribution is then an assault frigate, and it's overall a very powerful frigate. So by default you're going to have very good capabilities to do this solo. And then the way the Retribution is made is that it is a mile-based ship, so it does EM damage because it's got bonuses towards the energy turrets, as you can see here, small energy turrets. So it's going to be doing a lot of EM damage, and because of this it's very suited for the electrical abyss because there's going to be reduced EM resistance there. You'll be doing increased amount of damage. Another great thing about doing the electrical T2s is that the electrical T2s, the agitated electrical filaments, they provide bonus to the capacitor. This means then that you're able to have a stronger capacitor than you otherwise would be. So you see here it says I've got 12 gigajoules to spare. Well, I have more gigajoules if I'm in the electrical abyss. And this allows you to tank more because you can fit more tanking modules and less capacitor modules. So you can focus more on other abilities rather than your capacitor or boosting your tank. So it just makes the Retribution to being a very powerful ship. Another great thing about doing the solo T2s in particular is, in terms of the electricals, it is very good because the electrical filaments in general, they usually are quite expensive. But when it comes to the T1s and the T2s, they're very cheap, like compared to the other filaments. If we go into the fierce electrical filaments, then it starts getting quite expensive, 800k, and then you go on raging electrical. It's a very expensive, and then you even go chaotic electrical. Electricals usually are quite expensive, but the prices have gone down a bit on these, but they're still quite expensive compared to other filaments. But when it comes to the T2s, you're going to be able to run these still at a very cheap price, I mean a 30k pop you saw there. So the Retribution, I like doing it for the T2 electrical abyss. There are some people who've used it in Firestorms, but I don't have much experience of that. I think it is a solid ship for doing the T2 solo. So when it comes to the fits, there's different fits you can use. There's one fit that I've used a lot, and then there's another one that I use a little bit less, but it's also pretty good. So we go here. There's one is a sniper based fit. This is pretty good. This one here, fire support. I've made quite a few videos on this fit here, and this is basically a fit that's using the focus beam lasers, so you're going to be able to then snipe pretty well. And then you also got the dual armor pairs, so you're going to be able to tank pretty decently. You've also got a cap that is stable in the electrical abyss. The way I can see it says minus 81%. If it was above, or say below minus 100 or minus 110, then it just means that I'm not got a stable capacitor in the abyss. So I've got a stable capacitor in the abyss, even though it's not stable in normal space. So this is what I use here. It's a sniper based. You're very fast because of the MWD, so you can keep range, and then you're able to then go around and snipe things and have decent amounts of DPS. The Gleam with 319, but mostly I use the Imperial Navy, and then I snipe a lot with the Aurora, and you get 48 kilometer fall off. It's pretty good. And then you can use the 210 DPS with the standard, and still 28 fall off is pretty decent. So this is the fit here. There's also be a description down below. Fit, as you can see here, works pretty well. We might be doing some more runs on this as recently because I acquired this nice skin for the Retribution, but I've made quite a few videos before you can see me running them. So that's the fit I like to use. Another one are brawler based fits. They're a little bit more expensive because they require more tank, like blingier tank than the sniper based one, because this sniper based one costs only 62 million. It's because it tanks a lot, quote unquote tanks a lot, by keeping range, kiting. So it sort of, that is a form of tank. But these blaster based ones, they have more expensive tank modules to sort of compensate. So you can see here I've got multiple ones I've been testing. Here's an example of one. I use dual Corellia A-type small armor pairs, reactive armor hardener, Shadow Serpentis multispectrum, and a heatsink. And you can still get some decent DPS, but you have a lot less range with the small focus pulse lasers. I've also got one here that's even more expensive. Uses an Afterburner. It's got extremely good tank. A really good tank on this fit here. But these types of fits, they usually are like, they're very expensive. Personally speaking, I don't like using them as much for the T2 solo just because of how expensive they are. I'd rather use that on a cruiser or something else beefier and use that instead for the T2 than the T2 solo. This is what I'm talking about. Something like this, or then you can also go with then something like this. So this works, but I prefer, personally speaking, I like to do this sniper based one, this fire support fit that I've got here. I think it works really well. So that's the first ship, the Retribution, one that I like for doing the T2's solo in. The second ship that I love to use in the T2s is, as you guys may probably know, is the Hawk. The Hawk is an amazing ship to do T2s in. There's a different Hawk, many different Hawk fits you can use. I've got a lot of experience and tons of videos demonstrating a hybrid-based Hawk fit. Now this is the fit I use. You can go here and go into the Hawk. The good thing about having a hybrid fit like I've got is that you are able to have a decent amount of buffer and at the same time still have some form of active tank capability, so you're not completely locked out. If you've got low shield, you can still boost up a little bit if you manage to destroy the DPS. Usually if you have a fully passive fit and you get 0 shield, then it's really difficult to get it back up. But with the hybrid base fit with the shield booster, say you lose all your shields and you just kill the essential DPS, you can still boost it back up, which can play quite a big difference. So this is how it is. We've got the medium shield extender. This is really essential, really gives us a nice boost to our capacity here. 8k EHP, I would say that's pretty good. Now it's not supposed to have these expanded cargo holes here. I don't know why I've got them on, but they're not supposed to be here. I think I might have been hauling something in this, but we've got then the ballistic control systems that give us some extra DPS. There they are. And then when we put the Scourge Rage, 337 DPS, so a very mighty ship indeed. You get the 13-kilometer range, and you cruise around. You use your shield booster, your cap stable, and you get some 20. You see this 20 HP a second because the Hawk has got an inherent bonus to its shield boosting amount. So you get a pretty beefy shield booster that is a lot stronger than it otherwise would be. But then at the same time, you've got a decent buffer, so it's good in case you get some really sudden DPS. You've got enough buffer to sort of withstand that. And we get some nice 12 HP extra passive recharge as well. And we also got pretty good resistances because the Hawk has by default quite good resistances. We're buffing it quite significantly in terms of the EM department here with the EM shield amplifier and also the EM reinforcer, because the Hawk has basically no EM resist. So it's actually quite essential that we buff that EM hole right there. When it comes to the filament types, there's two types of filaments you can run this in. One is the T2 Exotics and the second is the T2 Darks. If you want to play it safe, do the T2 Darks because it makes it so that all the enemies, they go really fast, but you also go really fast yourself. And it also makes it so that all the turret-based weaponry, so blasters, cannons, beams, railguns, everything has their range shortened. So it makes it so that stuff will miss you a lot more often. Combine that with you being very fast, you have a hard time taking damage from the enemies actually, but it doesn't affect missiles, so you're actually not really affected as much. This increased speed of the enemies does make you apply a little bit worse, but it's still, I think it's a lot safer to do the T2 Darks in my experience than the T2 Exotics. If you are able to run the T2 Exotics, which can get a little bit spicy sometimes, then it is a bit faster because you do more, you have an easier time catching the enemies. Not everything is as going around as fast, and you will also do more damage because of the reduced kinetic resistance. The Hawk, it has bonuses to the kinetic missiles, so only the kinetic missiles are going to do more damage, and this is just perfect for the exotic sites. But personally speaking, I like to have a bit more chill style of gameplay in the T2 Darks. I think that is a nice way to use the Hawk in the Abyss. Okay, so that's what I use the Hawk for. I love using this hybrid fit. You go in there with a big buffer, cruise around, you go very fast. Afterburner, it says 900 meters a second, but we'll go over 1.3k, I believe it is, in the Dark Abyss. Then you use these missiles, you do decent DPS. If you need some extra range, if there's someone kiting you, just Scourge Javelin, which does a lot less DPS, but you have some pretty good range, 23 kilometer range. And you're overall just a really tanky boy. and you output a decent amount of damage and take very little damage in general. You're both tanky, but also avoid a lot of damage. It's very reliable in my experience, and you earn tons of ISK. The reason I love to make this demonstration on the T2 solo in the frigates is because you can earn decent amounts of ISK from this. Very good ISK. The T2 solo frigate Abyss, you can earn like maybe 5 million plus per room. So there's like 15 million ISK per site sometimes. Sometimes even more, and you're going with a fits that way be 50-60 million ISK, you're going to earn the whole ship back after just like 5-6 sites. That's pretty good return on investment if you ask me. I think that if you are able to run the T2 solo, then you've got a pretty good return of investment going on, and that's very useful when you're trying to do stuff that on a low budget and don't want to have to go in a massive minus if you die. So that's my video here on 2 ships that I love to use for the T2 solo Abyss in frigates. The T2 Darks in a Hawk and the T2 Electrics in Retribution. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something new. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.